and welcome to this week's edition of Falcon Focus. My name is Vaughn Purdy, your host for this edition, and today I have a special guest with me who's normally my co-host. I want you all to meet, again, Dr. Frank Smith, who's the Executive Vice President at Simmons College of Kentucky and Special Assistant to Dr. Kevin Cosby. Good afternoon, Frank.
Good afternoon, Vaughn.
Today we're going to be talking about something very important to the background of Simmons College of Kentucky. Simmons College of Kentucky, as you all know, is our platform, is what our show is going to be about. So we want to take you all the way back to the history today and let you know all about how we came to be and where we are now. Dr. Smith has been at Simmons for many, many years, and he can tell you lots about it. So Dr. Smith, the first question I want to ask you is, give us an overview of how long you've been here at Simmons and some of the changes you've seen, and tell us a little bit about the history of the college.
Thank you, Vaughn. It's a joy to be here as a guest today and to share about my history with Simmons. I joined the team at Simmons early 2007. I incidentally was a part of Dr. Cosby's inauguration along with community pastors. Had no idea that one day he would ask me to work with him at Simmons College. And so actually when I joined the team, the college at that time was meeting in its 18th and Dumanil campus, which is known as Axton Hall. And actually my very first office was in the basement of that building. We had chapel services, classes going, many colleagues. Some of those colleagues have passed on. Colleagues like Reverend Billy Hollins, who was the Dean of Chapel at that time, he's passed on. Also Dr. J.R. Sams was very active in those days. We just had a wonderful time. Dr. Burton, who's retired from us. So many personalities back then. And to see how far the school has come. Actually, by the fall of that same year, Dr. Cosby had completed the renovation of what is known as Stewart Hall on our main campus. And we were planning to move just into Stewart Hall. Got a call from him late one night and he said, guess what? I want to move the entire operations of Simmons over to the main campus. It's important to know that the original campus of Simmons was owned at that time by the St. Stephen Baptist Church, who knew that Dr. Cosby would one day become the president of Simmons, and then to make the decision to return the school back to its original campus. So we actually had a motorcade from the 1811 Dumanil Street location known as Axton Hall over to the main campus, and it was called the Homecoming for a Lifetime. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. We had tents, we had gatherings, chairs, dignitaries, everything, food. It was just a wonderful occasion to return to our main campus in 2007.
2007.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Cosby became the 13th president in 2005, correct?
2005, he became the 13th president. When he became president, the school had many challenges. It had struggled to survive. Resources were basically just coming from the churches throughout the state, and many of the churches are rural churches. They were sending what they could, and it's amazing through their support and other donations over 141 now years, the school persisted, never closed. And that says a whole lot about the significance of black-led institutions supporting themselves. And so Simmons was very much supported by the churches, but when Dr. Cosby came on, he said, I want the entire community to really know and understand about Simmons, and to know that Simmons has not always been a Bible college. So he went back and brought forth the first name, Kentucky Normal and Theological Institute. Normal symbolizing teaching, and theological, of course, religion. The next name for our college was State University. A lot of people do not know that, but our second name of the college was State University. Okay. In fact, we are the first black college in the state or in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, founded, actually organized by the General Association of Colored Baptists. The formation began as of 1865. The school was chartered in 1873, and a lot of resources were put aside and saved, but the Freedmen's Bureau crashed and the school lost a lot of its resources, so they had to pick back up. Actually, they first owned the Hill property in Frankfort, Kentucky.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, and they sold that property because they wanted to be here in Louisville. 1 block from our main campus is the original Central School, which was the first school built in the state for the education of blacks. And so they wanted the college to be close by that school, and of course there were several churches in Louisville that were strong at that time, and they just felt that the constituency would better support it, and the enrollment would be boosted by being at that location on the old Churchill property at between 7th and 8th Streets and between Kentucky and Zane Streets, which is where we are today. So they sold the property. Later that property in Frankfort became the property of Kentucky State University.
Which we need to tell our audience is our sister HBCU.
HBCU in this state. Mm-hmm. And the president, Dr. William J. Simmons, was the first black to speak to our legislature about education, blacks and appropriation of dollars like Alabama and Texas had done for higher education for blacks. And so eventually they did decide to do that, but they wanted to establish their own school that they could give governance over. So that's what became known as Kentucky State University. And so in Dr. Simmons' honor, he died at the age of 39. The school later changed the name from State University to Simmons University to honor Dr. Simmons. Dr. Simmons was one of the founders of the National Baptist Convention, United States of America, and just a global person, ahead of all of the technology. He had a working knowledge of everything going on. He wrote Men of Mark, which cites the accomplishments of black men of his time, and he was working on Women of Mark before he died. He established the Baptist Women's Education Convention, and that was he turned the reins over to them and said, you all have it, you all do it. Evelyn Higginbotham has written a book that talks about the Baptist Women's Education Convention. Actually, the best monument, if I could say, of their work historically is the erection of what we know as Parish Hall on our campus. Parish Hall is the building that was built for domestic science. It was a girls' dormitory, but it was built by the Baptist Women's Education Convention in 1908, and it still stands today.
Now,
and
how many students would have been in the residence hall, like at that time?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know of any pictures that really shows the layout of the rooms, but I'm sure that they accommodated anywhere with the 3 floors that we have and with classroom space. I'm sure they accommodated probably 75 at the least in those buildings.
Were there ever any issues of taking male and female students? It was always
a co-ed institution. Always co-ed, and in fact, Dr. Simmons wanted Simmons to be a microcosm of Howard University, where he graduated from. Dr. Simmons was an HBCU graduate himself, and so he wanted the classical liberal arts education model rather than agricultural or mechanical, which many HBCUs
Yes.
are known for. So he brought in all of the curriculum, multiple departments. You had science, we had medicine, we had law, we had nursing, and these were done through proprietary education schools, but they were brought in the umbrella of Simmons, and it helped to develop what we knew at that time as the black middle class
Yes.
in this entire region.
Now, can you tell us back then, because I believe we had a larger amount of students during that time than we have now. Is that correct?
Well, yes, we had, but you have to understand that at those days, the black schools or black colleges were the only places. There were no other choices due to segregation. And so they flooded these schools wherever they were. Booker T. Washington was a contemporary with William Simmons, and Booker T. had the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, and Simmons had Simmons here, State University here. And so whatever curriculum that a person may want that State University did not have and Tuskegee did, well, Dr. Simmons and Dr. Booker T. Washington collaborated, and they would make sure that students would be able to go. Both of them were actually co-founders of the National Baptist Convention, so they were very good friends.
Now, can you speak a little bit about how active these groups are now? We talk about the Baptist Convention, the Baptist
Yes.
Women's Convention.
Yes.
The
The
bring
Baptist,
our readers up, listeners up to date on
yes, the
how
Baptist Women's Education Convention is still very much active, and we're continuing to encourage women to join this convention throughout the state. It is still, the primary purpose is Simmons and women who can work together to help recruit students as well as funds to support students at Simmons. The National Baptist Convention movement is very much alive. There are different segments of that movement today, but one of the segments, the second largest segment, is headquartered with Simmons today, and that is the National Baptist Convention America International Incorporated. And Dr. Samuel Tolbert is the president, and they have moved their headquarters to Simmons.
Yes.
They have made their home base Louisville, Kentucky. They have paid cash for a retreat center, a 57-acre site in South Louisville. Beautiful campus out there with 3 lakes, buildings, and future plans for expansion and lodging. But they have also made their headquarters Simmons. They wanted an HBCU, they wanted seminary in their vision, and lo and behold, Simmons offers all of that. We house at our campus the Baptist Seminary of Kentucky, which is accredited seminary. And so by being headquartered at Simmons, they get access to all of that. And we're excited about future plans and things that are in the works with the National Baptist Convention. That's a 3.5 million member convention, encompasses 7 countries outside of America, for example, Ghana, Panama, etc. Haiti, you'll see that they have work and churches in all of those areas as well.
Okay. Well, Frank, can you tell our audience a little bit more about our existing campus, where we are now, and fast forward here to 2020? Because you are a part of the renovation. Dr. Smith is actually in charge of the renovations of the campuses across our 4 buildings. So can you speak a little bit more about your role there and how it's moving the campus forward?
Well, let me say that this has been a long time coming. We returned to our campus in 2007. In 2014, with a grant from the James Graham Brown Foundation, we were able to acquire a facility at 4th and Kentucky, which was formerly the national headquarters for the Sons of the American Revolution. So a lot of people are not aware that we have the administration and library building at the corner of 4th and Kentucky Streets. Then we have our main campus, which we were able to acquire officially from the St. Stephen Church. So it's fully owned by Simmons College of Kentucky. And then we have Axton Hall, which is still our property at 18th and Dumenil Streets, or Dixie and Dumenil, some might say. And so in 2014, we became accredited as well. And that allowed us to apply to become Title IV eligible. So we began finally, actually in 2010, we were approved for Title IV eligibility. So that allowed our students to get Pell Grants. But then in 2014, we were initially accredited, and that allowed us to apply for HBCU status. We had not been determined as one because we had not been accredited,
Yes.
and we only had one degree offering. When we diversified our degrees in 2014, we were accredited in 2014. We were then able to apply. So in 2015, we got HBCU status, and that allowed us to receive not just Title IV funds, but Title III funds. With Title III funds coming in the door, which was the first in the history of Simmons,
Okay.
$500,000, $1 million, etc., that comes each year to Simmons because of our student enrollment and size. It allowed us to begin projects of renovation, particularly at the Axton Hall campus.
Okay.
We started there doing a new roof, doing some waterproofing issues that we had, and we were able to stretch the dollars just far enough to get some essential things done. But then we had to pause because more funds were needed. And then, lo and behold, a gentleman named Mr. Barney Barnett
Yes.
became aware of Simmons. He had been connected to personalities with Simmons, Dr. Cosby especially, and he became more and more interested in Simmons. He supported our basketball team previously with peanut butter. He was the owner of All Good Foods.
Yes.
Well, he decided to really take an interest in the facilities of Simmons. I walked with the man personally and toured all of these buildings, and he saw where there's need for improvement. He said, got to do something, we got to do something. And multiple tours. I walked with him about at least 3 times. Our provost, Dr. Young, walked with him in addition, but he took a personal interest. And so, lo and behold, he pledged a $4 million gift to Simmons. And that gift, even though it has come after he died suddenly, the family has been so loving and kind. They've
Yes.
made sure that the gifts have come. And so with the majority of those resources, we have been able to work on 3 of our buildings with these funds, and primarily Axton Hall.
Okay.
And so Axton Hall is nearing its completion. It has a complete new water source heat pump heating and air system. That's to the tune of about $500,000, but it allows us for years to come to have an efficient cooling and heating system for the building. And it's the kind of system that education spaces use in these days, more cost efficient. All of the electrical wiring is brand new, all the plumbing is new, flooring, everything is painted, new ramp, new entry in the rear of the building, just from top to bottom, a building that has been tremendously overhauled. We are completing at this time of this recording much of that, and we're looking forward to a rededication of that building in honor of Barney Barnett and this the legacy of Simmons. But then also on our main campus, we have 2 buildings that needed work. We had cornice work, elaborate cornice work that rotting had begun to occur. So we have redone all of that with these funds, new roofs on both buildings. Water source heat pump was placed in Stewart Hall, much to the same dollar figure as what was placed in Axton. And so we have the same technology there, and just a plethora of things that we've been able to do with all of these buildings. Most recently, our student lounge has been renovated. We had renovated our heritage room last year with new carpet, new furnishings, thanks to donors who supported that.
Yes.
Your great work,
Yes,
Vaughn.
thank you.
But we then were able, through your work also, to get another donor who said, we want to help and we want to support. And so now our student lounge has been redone with beautiful wood plank flooring. And we were able to do all of this at the right time before the semester started, but after all of the extensive HVAC work. So all of the oil and spills and work from that the contractors had been doing, they were finished, and we were able to put the new floor in. And with our students being more remote learning, all of them haven't seen it, but we're excited and looking forward to their return.
Could you speak a little bit about that? You know, when people drive by our buildings, we have all these wonderful buildings who are being renovated. I think we should speak to the importance of seeing the growth at
Yes.
Simmons College of Kentucky and what it means to the community, not just our campus community, but the community at large. Can you speak about that?
Yes, the growth of Simmons as an HBCU is pivotal to our work as a community builder. Black-led institution that gains resources in such a way to improve educational opportunities is by nature going to help with the economic development of the surrounding community. Everywhere you see an HBCU, you see a transformed community. It takes time, but the fact that employment is there, the fact that we pretty much are the only black-led institution in town that gains people from other states. When you look at a college and there's this infusion of students, I remember a time when I started, back in 2007, we had about 30 or 40 students. And these were all non-traditional students, mostly older in years. And now we have students fresh out of high school, we have multiple degree programs, and they are coming to attend Simmons from at least 10 different states outside Kentucky. And this was a new thing in the history of Simmons, to have that many students coming from outside Kentucky, particularly our music program.
Yes.
We have a marching band now, we have a jazz band, we have choir, we have concert band, and all of that is under the auspices of our music degree. Well, it allows students to have fun, enjoy the culture of an HBCU, participate with each other, whether they're dancing, playing an instrument. They learn the coordination, they learn the skills, they learn the instruments, and all of that creates a buzz where the surrounding community can feel the energy and they can feel the growth, and it inspires them to attend college. It inspires them to say, I can do that too, and it inspires the community in a way that other cities may not have, in terms of what it does for upbuilding distressed and poor black communities in our city. And so we are excited about what Simmons brings to Louisville and what Simmons is to Louisville. For example, Nashville has 4 historically black colleges and universities, and Nashville is booming.
Yes.
And so we need to think about Louisville and appreciating Louisville's HBCU, and we're excited that that is happening. So many growth. I wish that'd be a whole nother show,
a whole nother show
to break down the areas in which we have grown as an institution.
With that in mind, you've been one of the pillars of Simmons, to say the least, and you've done great work. What would you like Simmons to be like in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, we have this vision, and we want Simmons to be on par with all other HBCUs. There are 107 HBCUs. Once Simmons was accredited, it became the 107th HBCU. So it's important that we keep the tradition going. So where would you like Simmons to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, personally, I think that with what we have experienced most recently, the idea of Simmons having a national reach is so important. We were already discussing in the administration about distance education and what could that look like for Simmons. And this year I was blessed to be able to secure a membership of Simmons in the National Council of State Authorization for Reciprocity Agreements. It's known as SARA.
Okay.
And that allows us now, Simmons can educate students in 49 states. California does not participate in that, but 49 states plus Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and District of Columbia, we know as Washington, D.C. All of these areas have the capacity of receiving now an education from Simmons College of Kentucky. And so what I envision us doing is not only the brick and mortar campus life that is traditional in nature, where students come to our campus, but I'm envisioning multiple Simmons students all around the nation and ultimately the world. And I'm really excited. And then another piece to this, we want to see more black teachers in our school systems, not just locally, but nationally. And we're working to secure regional accreditation that will allow us to get programmatic accreditation to do a full-fledged teacher education program. And all of that is in process.
Yes.
We have early pieces of it already in works now, leading to the fulfillment of that. But what that will mean is that we will have a hand in developing teachers who are sensitive to the needs of our children in our school systems around the nation. And I am so excited about seeing that come to pass. With that, there are other fields that I believe Simmons can delve into, more in view of, we often say STEM, some say STEM, some say STEAM, some say STREAM. There are all kinds of, but science, technology, engineering, and math, all of these fields, the arts, how all of that works, we want to see Simmons begin to delve into more and more of these programs so that our graduates have even higher wage earning capacity when they graduate from Simmons. So those are just some of my ideas and visions, and I mostly support the vision of our president, Dr. Cosby. Appreciate him so much and all that he has done in giving of his time and his energy. And without him, Simmons would not be where it is today. His tenacity, his vision, his forthrightness, straightforward vision, caster, and implementation builder, all of these things that he is, has richly blessed. For when I first came to Simmons in 2007, we were in one building. When he came in 2005, it was on one floor. And now to see we have 4 buildings, plus 2 additional properties of land that we own, and debt-free. We are a blessed institution going higher and higher.
Okay. So now you all have heard from Dr. Frank Smith and the growth and the progress that's going on at Simmons College of Kentucky. Thank you so much, Dr. Smith, for being here and being our guest on Falcon Focus. Tune in next time when we have so much more to share with you on Falcon Focus. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you know that the word alma mater comes from the Latin meaning nurturing mother? One of our primary objectives at Simmons College of Kentucky is to nurture late bloomers. So it doesn't matter if you struggle through high school just to graduate, or even if you earn your GED. We don't look at a student's past, we look at their potential. Simmons College of Kentucky, creating the next generation of thinkers.